Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony, and today I am joined by the former two-time BTW World Heavyweight Champion, former one-time BTW X Factor Champion, and current one-time BTW Tag Team Champion, Xstatic from the Bad Zones.
Yes, sir. How are you, Tony?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you today?
I am swell. I am great today. As a matter of fact.
And that is great to hear.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on the show. It has been a pleasure. Truly, I'll make sure to catch you some other time. All right. Thank you. All right. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about today, and I'm excited to dig on into it. Whether it be bad or good stuff, I will talk about it. So yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. Whenever you, Mr. Host, gets.
Yes, I'm ready to go. Let's start with what your BYW origins are. What got you first involved in backyard wrestling?
Okay, well, kind of a long story, so I'm gonna try to summarize it as best I can. So basically, myself and Zach Hutchison had been friends for a long time. He lived beside my grandmother, who rest in peace. So that's how we kind of met, and we had been friends since we were 3 or something like that. So basically, Zach kind of got into this wrestling stuff. And at first, I didn't know much about it. I had seen wrestling on TV. I think my first memory of wrestling was watching on an episode of Raw, and the New Age Outlaws were getting some kind of clothes thrown at them in the ring. I don't remember, but my dad cut it off because he didn't want me watching it because I was so young. Right. This was like, I think it was the year 2000, I think. So basically from there, me and Zach started a wrestling figure stop motion federation on YouTube. This was a long time ago. It was called VBW, which stood for Violent Bloody Wrestling. Wow, so creative. So we were looking on some other videos, and there was a guy named WWE Micro Rocks who would do micro videos with his uncle. Okay. You can probably guess who that is. That is Tyler. And so they called their Tyler would wrestle stuffed he's gonna kill me for saying that stuffed animals and stuff on this bed down in Avery's basement. So they called that VBW, which was something basement wrestling. And so, us being the kids we were, hey, that's our Fed name, why would you take that, blah blah blah. Eventually we figured out Tyler lived in Claremont, which is only 30 minutes away from basically where we both live. So we kind of, started to transition into that, and that started to become, they finally met, and eventually we all decided we were going to give a backyard wrestling a try. The company we had came up with, myself, Zach, and Tyler, was called EKW. We were on YouTube a long time ago. This is before KBW, any of that was around. That stood for Extreme Kids Wrestling, later Extreme Chaotic Wrestling. There was only 6 episodes. But there was so much we did. We actually got a little bit of publicity, because this is around the same time Eddie Guerrero had passed away, and so Zach made an Eddie Guerrero tribute and put it on his channel, and that got a lot of publicity, and people started kind of watching our trampoline wrestling. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing,
right?
At all. Yeah. Like, it was bad. You guys think some of these other companies bad? It was bad. But we did with what we could. There was 6 episodes. Eventually, on the 3rd episode is when Aaron Jones came along and transitioned into that. Aaron didn't like me when we were little. Why? I don't know. But I mean, obviously we're great friends now. But yeah. So at that time, our roster basically consisted of myself, Tyler, Zach, and Avery.
Right.
And that's why people call us the BTW Originals, because eventually EKW had kind of stopped. And, at this time I was like 10, 12-ish. So I was going through a stage where it was like wrestling was kind of, I don't know. I didn't know if it was my thing or not. And I had a MySpace at an early age, and a lady had tried to contact me, and I got very nervous, and so I didn't want my name on the internet because I was afraid I would get like molested or something. I don't know. Don't ask me how I was doing. And so basically, the VTW roster, the actual VTW roster consisted originally of Tyler, Zach, Avery. Eventually, they met a guy named Brandon, who you may have seen. I don't know if a lot of the people watching or any of the fans will remember Brandon, but Brandon Clark was an addition. Then eventually, I came along, and then Aaron came along after that. And so, yeah, it's been growing ever since. So that's kind of the origins of how everything kind of happened.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Who would you say are your influences from pro wrestling, first of all, to that got you more so wanting to be in this backyard?
Okay, well, influences from back in the day. Jeff Hardy was always my favorite pro wrestler when I was younger. I used to actually, in our old wrestling fed, I'd wear these baggy pants, cargo pants, black cargo pants, because I just loved Jeff Hardy. And like they had the little tattoo sleeves you could pull on.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd buy a bunch of those so I could like try to look like Jeff Hardy. I like that's all I ever wanted was to be Jeff Hardy. And you know, so as far as early influences, I think he was number one on my list. Watching TNA and watching WWE with him on both programs. Eventually, it was kind of a win-win situation. As far as now, my favorite professional wrestler of all time is Steve Corino. He is, yes, he is probably the greatest bad guy in wrestling history, in my eyes. Getting the amount of people to hate him and stuff was it's amazing to me. And he's such a good wrestler at that too. He's so clean with everything. He's just awesome. Yeah. So those are probably my two biggest influences. I kind of like to be a sponge on certain things. I don't like to copy certain things, but I'll see something and I'll be like, that's kind of cool. So so those are my two biggest influences.
And that's one thing that I have noticed from you and have heard other people mention about you is you try not to copy people and you pretty much have your own move sets compared to what you'll see a lot of other backyard wrestlers do.
Well, yeah, see one thing I'll touch a little bit more on later that I believe wrestling in a modern day is very different from how it was back in the day. You see a lot of this technical type of thing, which is cool. I watch stuff like that sometimes, but a lot of the time I like to see storytelling. Right. So my moveset kind of lies somewhere in between the middle. It's kind of where I like to keep it alongside with my character. So that's kind of where I keep my division. All right, but moving on from that, yeah, I know you want to get on to some other stuff.
Yeah, that's all right. So let's get into your career so far in BTW. One of the first things I want to touch on is this isn't the first time you've teamed with Tyler Aiken. You were teammates with him back in the day as part of the Arose. With
yes.
Diablo was part of that as well. Mm-hmm. What would you say are the differences between your time together in the Arose compared to the Bad Sons now?
Well, all right. When the Arose was formed, it was something that when it first debuted, it was so good.
Right.
And then we realized we can never really team together because we all are kind of singles and we don't really have a lot of tag team time, because we had such a small roster at that time. So the Arose kind of sunk, and we were all three of us were still very immature competitors in the way we wrestled and the way we talked and our characters and everything. I mean, going back and looking at the Xstatic I was then and now, it's a huge difference. Even Tyler, going back to looking at Tyler Storm and Tyler Aiken now, it's a huge difference. But as far as now, even though Tyler's kind of a piece of trash, we really we're two different people than when we were back then, kind of. So we're a lot more mature in the way we wrestle, but obviously, we like to bring a little bit of immature comedy type stuff with what we do, kind of try to be a little over the top with certain things. So we like to kind of I don't know, it's something different. We wanted to do something a little different than what we had done. So that was kind of the goal with the Bad Sons. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the differences between the two as far as that goes.
Yeah, and we seen when you guys were part of the Arose, it actually was Tyler who pretty much broke up that faction, if you will, by cashing in his briefcase on you to win the world title at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. yeah, so that was kind of my main thing. Speaking of Aaron, he's calling me right now. Sorry, Aaron, love you, but sorry. But yeah, Tyler did break that up. Very bad move by him, in my opinion. He probably shouldn't have done that because we could have made the Erosionist so much more. But now, can't hold grudges. Bad sons are the future. We're here. That's that.
Well, I will say from that, you guys did have some pretty decent matches from there, and including a triple threat match that we've seen at Mania with Zach Daniels in it as well.
Yes, yes, that was it. I think that was the start of us really wanting to take everything seriously. Was that match? I know for us three it was. That whole show was actually just probably that was our first real good show. Besides Best in the Yard 1, obviously, and so yeah, I mean, I would definitely that was a good match from back in the day. I really enjoyed it.
As I say, it looked to me from the early days of BTW, it was probably the best match that you guys had put on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But moving into what you just mentioned, you also were in the main event of the first Best in the Yard that we've seen, obviously, a couple years ago. What was that whole experience like for you?
Well, looking back on it now compared to how I look at matches now where I wrestle people that I don't know, because that does happen sometimes. I'll get in the ring with somebody I've never even watched sometimes, Right. I was so used to wrestling the people I knew well in the ring, like all the guys I'd been around. So stepping in the ring with like Corey and Cam, it was kind of weird, and I didn't know what to expect. That's why you see a lot of the things in the match. I mean, obviously now I can look back at it and be like, "Oh my God, what was I doing?" But it was a good mixture of style in that match. Cam with his hard hitting style at the time, and then Corey obviously with his brash type style, and then me doing a lot of the exciting junk. So yeah, it was a really interesting experience, and it was really cool to actually meet those guys, because I've been watching them on the internet for years, so it was really cool.
Yeah.
To see that.
What would you say that whole weekend was like for the first time that you guys met a lot of those other superstars from from UWE and from APW?
I will say this. It was kind of weird. The first time I met Cameron, he got out of the car and looked around. He had a really shy look on his face, and I was like, "Oh no, that's not good." So, but no, I mean, he obviously opened up really fast. So did Corey and Dirty DeChico, Everett, and all those guys. Yeah, they were, they're awesome people. All of them are great people. My first memory of Big Time Mike actually was Mike. He got out of his car or his truck, and he walked over. He threw something on the ground and elbow dropped it. And from that point on, I knew Mike was an awesome dude. So, that was kind of that's basically the only way I can put the whole weekend. That's kind of how it went. It was just great hype. We were all just in a good mood.
Yeah, which if you ask me, you could kind of see that in the videos of the matches that you guys put on. You just seem to have a lot of fun, and obviously there was seriousness to a lot of the matches, but still.
Oh yeah, definitely.
After that, pretty much we'd see you in the world title picture for a little bit in VTW, but after you got out of that, we would see you get pretty much the first big feud out of one Dustin Reagan, who was Dustin Plague at the time.
Yeah. So the Dustin stuff. Dustin was wrestling for a backyard company for a while. They were called OSW, and they had been trying to cross brand with us because they'd probably seen our stuff with CCW.
Right.
As you mentioned earlier. And at first looking at they were kind of a hardcore company, light tubes and chairs, but the one outlier was Dustin. And Dustin, he's always been that kind of outlier where it's just, he's so technically proficient. He doesn't really, he understands hardcore wrestling, but he thinks some things go too far. But Dustin emailed me. This isn't like a messenger thing. No, he emailed me.
Right.
That he wanted to have a match. And I was like, well, if you're not busy, you can come up. And he said, yeah, I've been on the Indies and blah, blah, blah. So he decided to come up and try it out, and he really enjoyed it. So, yeah, it was a great great experience meeting him, wrestling an actual professional wrestler for the first time. That was kind of a big thing, you know, like, so used to, you know, I was so used to wrestling kind of gentle. He'd get in there and kind of roughhouse us a little bit because, you know, that's his style. So, yeah, that was kind of, how it felt to wrestle Dustin.
I will say you two put on a pretty good feud there for a couple months in VTW. In my opinion.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a very enjoyable wrestling little confrontation between me and Dustin.
And I do want to touch on the subject. You've changed characters a couple different times in VTW. At that time, you were doing the pretty much 1-800 boom headshot character at that point.
Yeah, I was.
Which was a lengthy run as that, and I personally was a fan of it, to be honest with you. Some people might not have been. But...
Yeah, some people were not, I'll put it that way. Well, you know, the inspiration behind my first character, I'll literally tell you how it went. I was going by my real name at first, which I'm not going to say on here. Then one day I was thinking, I was like, I want to do something kind of like these guys, these professional wrestler guys. I was like, yo, I should do like Xstatic or something. I guess that's pretty cool. So I went with that, and I got the tights and stuff. And the boom headshot thing, I don't know. I felt like that character I was doing wasn't enough. So I kind of wanted to take it over the top, and I was really into Marvel at the time. So Deathstroke was a big inspiration on the character, obviously the mask. You know, and then I was into The Weeknd because that song was popular. So, you know, I kind of just went out there with the intention of just trying to put on good matches. So, you know, we came out there, did the thing and all that. I actually sold that shirt to Ustalo, just to give him a little plug. Yeah, so that was kind of the whole basis behind the character. I was kind of thinking of like a Kill Bill type thing. Yeah. And the song Bang Bang by Nancy Sinatra inspired me with the character, but it just kind of happened how it happened. So that's how I'll put it.
All right. Well, from that feud with Dustin, we would see you kind of get embroiled in that VTW versus JHI feud for a brief period of time, which would lead into an 8-man tag team match at Fury 2016. You would team with the other 3 guys that some people would call the originals, Zach Daniels, Tyler Storm, and Aaron Jones, to face JHI. What was that whole experience like, teaming with those guys to face?
All right. Well, I still don't like Joe very much, as most of the originals don't. We don't really associate with Joe very much. But it was kind of a cool experience because that was one of the first times we all, as a unit, got to kind of work as a team to defeat, you know, Joe's Hellfire Incorporated.
Right.
You know, it was cool to wrestle some of those guys because I really wasn't in the position to. So it was cool to get to actually kind of wrestle around with guys I hadn't wrestled around with. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. So, yeah, but yeah, no, we still hate Joe, and Diablo is still an asshole, I'll put it that way. Anyway, but yeah, so it was just a fun time.
So the one person we haven't really touched on that was part of that match that you guys faced against was D-Lock. You haven't really had a whole lot of chances to step in the ring one-on-one with D-Lock yet.
You know, I'll be honest, me and Diggle, we have kind of a weird, it's like we'll be wanting to do a match, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you know what, it's just going to snow, or, oh, it's just going to rain, or, oh, you know, well, it'd be better if we did this. And, you know, so maybe one day me and D-Lock will actually get to have the match that both of us deserve to have. It's just, you know, it's got to have time. But yeah, wrestling D-Lock is always a pleasure. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was quite the interesting 8-man tag match. If I remember correctly, it was an elimination match at that show that JHI actually won and took control of VTW for a little while.
Yeah, don't like Joe.
All right.
Just a thing about that.
But the last time we'd see the boom headshot character would be at Carolina Clash, actually.
Yes.
You got to touch on that little trip that a couple of you guys took there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, myself, Tyler, Mephisto, we were all in the car together, and on the way up there it was kind of weird. Where they're from is really far out in like a weird place. There's nothing around there. It's just like a little diner and then like a bunch of houses. It's really weird. So, pulling up, it was kind of weird, but we got out and obviously we met Seth Maverick and
Right.
Pork Chop.
Yep.
It was a fun experience. Wrestling Pork Chop. Pork Chop's awesome. I'm sorry. I have to say, Pork Chop is the best big man in backyard wrestling. He is a legend. And he honestly, like, I don't know. I give that guy so much props because I tried to kind of rough him up a bit during the match. If you go back and watch it, I did some very stiff type stuff to him, and he kept. I mean, and he delivered it right. Him splashing me and stuff, dude. That's like that's a 300-pound dude. So obviously, good. If you actually go back and watch the match, he went to do a front flip on me earlier in the match. I said nope.
Right.
So props to both those guys. Those guys are actually really, really cool people, and I would love to see them come back and wrestle again someday. But they're doing their own thing, and that's in their hands, not in mine.
Well, at least we did get to see him get the chance to be at Best in the Yard this year too. So
yes, that was very humbling to me because they're just really nice people. Like I said, so seeing, I don't know if you guys actually watched, but in the opening show, Seth Maverick gets dumped on his neck. That was so scary, I thought he got hurt. Oh my god, yeah, but yeah, I mean, watching them, and I mean, and those guys, I mean, they'd never been trained in their lives. They came in there and literally just wrecked hell. So I was proud of both of them. They're awesome people.
Gotcha. So from there, you took a little bit of time off, pretty much, from VTW programming.
I had my own. I had a little bit of personal demons. I had to take care of, and I wasn't myself and my character. There's a lot of things going on at that time, a lot of family issues, and so I kind of just wanted to take a break. I was saying a lot of things I didn't mean, and to those people I said them to, I'm sorry. You know who you are. So I kind of just took a break, and I started thinking about possibly doing a new character. And the main reason was because I wasn't happy with the Boom Headshot character. It wasn't enough for me to have fun with. I didn't really have fun with it. And so that's when I came up with the Silver Standard. Who I am still today. I am the Silver Standard, not just a bad son. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's probably been my favorite experience in BTW so far, is doing that character. I love it. I still love it so much.
Yeah, and the first time we'd see that character debut was actually at the first show I pretty much watched live and tweeted about, was Wicked Armageddon.
Yes.
You wanna touch on how emotional, I guess you could say, that whole program was for you?
Well, I was a fan for ESW for a long time. Joey, their manager guy, he watches us, and he's always been a fan, even when we were on trampoline. So I mean, I always was a big fan of them. Obviously, Cody Rex is another great guy that's now on their roster, and I'm proud of them. They've come a long way from what they were. But hearing that one of my favorites. One of my favorites had passed away was a very, very sad thing. I think.
We may have lost him there for a second. See if we can get Xstatic back here. He's frozen. But yeah, the person we're talking about, of course, is Wicked J. If anybody that watching didn't know, had passed away from ESW at that point in time last year in April. And April Armageddon's usually the name of the pay-per-view for VTW. They went with Wicked Armageddon in honor and memory of Wicked J at that point in time. And during that show, there was some tributes from different superstars on there. So, which I'm sure Xstatic would tell you more about if we can get him back here. See, one second. See, nobody watching any. One viewer. There we go. Maybe.
Are we back? Okay, cool. We're back. Sorry about that. I was actually just talking to Tony earlier. I've been having some really bad computer issues. So,
You see it.
anyways, but yeah, back to Wicked J. You know, he was a big inspiration to a lot of us. You know, he was a very just awesome guy, very big enigma in backyard wrestling, and it was so sad to hear that he had passed. I didn't know what to think when I heard it, because somebody, you know, I've never had somebody who wasn't kind of an inspiration to me besides my family members, obviously, pass away. So you know, it was very interesting, and very sad, very tragic.
Yeah, and I would say, for not just because it was the first one I watched, but it was quite the tribute that you guys pretty much did for him at Wicked Armageddon.
Oh yeah. Well, we felt it was only right. You know, Joey had always supported us, and we never knew if Wicked J knew us or not. But you know, we wanted to show our condolences to them, because they are a big factor in backyard wrestling, and obviously that's a big loss to everybody. So yeah, that was our you know, that was our main thing. And I knew if I was going to bring the character in, then I had to really give it my all. So I tried my best.
Right.
That was my whole thought about Wicked Armageddon. So yeah.
Yeah, and from the debut of the Silver Standard, we would see not long after that debut, you would win the X Factor Championship.
Of course.
Yeah. Wasn't that lengthy of a reign, really? But
yeah, well, you know, obviously, I was wrestling a very big up and comer known as Kevin Shaw, who, may I say, has blew my mind in the past couple of years with how good he has done. Very proud of Kevin. It's very short reign, but hey, I made the belt look good.
It's true.
So I can't really say anything bad about it.
And you two did have a very good match at Mania last year. That, as you mentioned, Kevin Shaw did end up taking the X Factor title from you at that point in time.
Yes.
The ending of it, you seemed to get pretty much a little hot-headed because you couldn't put him away, so you brought in a chair, and that kind of cost you the match in the end. So
yeah, it you know, that was my my rude thinking. I shouldn't have thought that way. But you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to take home the prize, and that's the way I've always thought about it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps you, and sometimes it hurts you. So.
Yeah, you live and you learn.
Right. So then, just after Mania, we would see Best in the Yard 2. I want to talk to you a little bit about the build-up towards Best in the Yard 2. We would see videos on your YouTube page of you calling out a certain, not to be named individual.
I mean, you can say his name. It's just, you know,
Yeah,
I don't want
you
I don't want to get him in
point.
trouble, obviously. But yeah, well, you know, it's a very touchy subject. It's in the past. You know, I wouldn't want to bring it up to the public. You know, me and him, I don't know. We just weren't meant to be friends, and that's the way it is. That's the way I'll put it. So yeah, that's what happened with that whole situation.
And the build up to it was just what I was referring to, because in the videos, as we've seen, he wouldn't mention his name during those videos. But towards the end of it, obviously you did. Out of it, we did see you and Jordan face off in a 2 out of 3 falls match at Best in the Yard.
Yeah, and it's very ironic. That whole situation is very ironic because, you know, Jordan obviously was, who's now a very big factor in both of their careers. You know, both of them are factors in each other's careers now. Is the one that I had faced, and that was I was kind of excited for that too. You know, Jordan is a professional wrestler, and he obviously, he knows what he's doing, and we just kind of went out there with the intention of to go as hard as we could with one another, and you know, kind of try to just tear it down. So we'll tear it down, the words of Dustin Reagan, so to speak. So yeah, you know, that was the whole thing with Best in the Yard too. Yeah, Best in the Yard 2 was a great show. We all had a good time. We did a lot of stuff. I think that was the start of like this. I mean, we were having crossovers, but none of them were as like heavy as Best in the Yard 2.
Right.
That was kind of the show that put VTW heavily on the map. So yeah, it's a very, very fun show.
I will say the match that you had with Jordan there, the 2 out of 3 falls, was one of my favorite matches on the whole show. If you've seen my interview with Mike last week, he did mention that match as one of them that he thinks is underrated and not talked about enough from that show.
Yeah, actually, I've always had a thing where, at the first Best in the Yard, I didn't think I impressed a lot of people as much as they thought I was going to. So at Best in the Yard 2, I kind of went with the intention of I wanted to show people I could hang in a hardcore, more extreme environment. And I do prove that time to time. But obviously, I like to stick to my roots, which is just general wrestling. But yeah, and I appreciate Mike saying that. It's very nice. But obviously, yeah, the one thing I've told a lot of my a lot of the wrestling guys is the one thing I went out there and wanted to do. I wanted to drop one elbow, and I wanted Mike. I wanted to hear what Mike had to say about it. So right after the Joker driver through the trash can happened, I dropped that elbow. I dropped it hard too, and then I just hear Mike say, "That's my boy. That's my boy." And right there, I was just like, "All right, that's it.
Your night was made.
I'm ready to lose or win, or however this thing's gonna wrap up."
Now, what was your opinion on the whole match? Was supposed to be a career versus career match, but obviously we've seen.
Well, I'll just put it to you this way, Tony. It was supposed to be a career versus career match. Just gonna look at the camera right fast just for a second.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a career versus career match. Anyway, so moving on from that.
Do you have any fun stories or anything you want to mention from Best in the Yard 2 weekend?
Well, obviously meeting Yvonne for the first time was a great experience. We were sitting there, all of us were in the building. Everybody was asleep in the building. It was hot. It smelled bad, and it was like 2 a.m. Okay, and like everybody, I've been having some beer, and all of a sudden we're all just laying there in the quiet, and you just hear Yvonne. It was 5 years ago on a hot summer day. And he told two stories, and all of us were crying, laughing. I mean, it was a great story. And Yvonne still tells good stories. That's why his was 3 hours long. Right. That's somebody I am going to have to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get into that
here in a little bit if you don't mind.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, there's too many good stories. I remember me and Jordan just talking about the match, and we had a water hose dumping water all over us. There's blood running down his back because on the moonsault off the top, he cut his back on a rock, so he was just pouring out blood on his back, and obviously I had just scrapes and whatever all over me. That guitar shot knocked me out for a second or two. I just remember being handcuffed and knowing how to take that, and then it happened, and I just laid there, and I was like, "Oh my God, that was awful." Like the El Kabong, the thing is that nobody ever tells anybody that's not a filtered guitar. Like that's a real guitar. It hurts very badly. Like, I mean, I felt what I remember picking wood out of my hair, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good stories. Let's go into the movies and screwing around and all kinds of stuff. I mean, we did so much the whole weekend. Best in the Yard's always fun.
Gotcha. I gotta say thank you real quick to Carrie's official channel. Says great stuff, loving the series. Thank you very much. If you or anybody else that might be watching has any questions, comments for Xstatic, go ahead and put them in the comment section there. We'll get to them. Would you say that some people might not want to, but would you say that you would compare Best in the Yard 2 was a little more enjoyable, or Best in the Yard 1 was?
It's hard to compare them both because in a professional business standpoint, when you're putting together a show like that, I think Best in the Yard 3 took the cake. Not in a better show. It's not what I'm saying, but in the way that the show was flowed. I think it took the cake better. Everything was kind of up stacked. Best in the Yard 2, I feel, was kind of thrown together. Do I feel that the spirit of Best in the Yard was at Best in the Yard 3 more than the second one? No. I think Best in the Yard 2 had a better spirit to it. I think my match from Best in the Yard 3 has took my favorite because I don't know. I liked being able to wrestle and doing the stupid stuff and getting a reaction. I like being indoors wrestling. That was really cool the first time. Thank you to that church for letting us do that. But yeah, it was a very both of them were. It's hard to compare. There's pros and cons to both.
Gotcha.
And it's just hard to kind of compare them both side by side.
Gotcha. Well, from Best in the Yard 2, we would see in VTW a debut of a certain individual who you would step in the ring, step in the trampoline with at that point in time. From DRW, he was their champion at the time, Jamal Payne.
Yes. Yes. Jamal Payne is a very, very hard worker. And do I think he's a little bit of an asshole? Yeah. But he has the right to be, because, I mean, he has been overshadowed for a long time, I feel. And I think that he is just expressing his opinion. Do I think he's doing it in the best way and the right way, the moral way? No, I don't. But Jamal Payne is a very hard worker. He's worked hard for what he has. So good on him. That's all I can say.
Right. Now, I don't believe he had that long of a feud with him, but after had okay matches with him because he was still kind of learning the ropes at the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
But after that, we would see you get back into the World Championship picture for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was something that needed to happen. Not only for the title, but me and Aaron both really needed to have a feud because we'd never really gotten to do that for whatever reason. Like, we'd had a match in old VTW a long time ago. It was meaningless. It's just not a good match. And well, we had a couple. Me and Aaron had a few before, but I think now that we were kind of reaching a point of maturity in our wrestling, it was good to kind of be able to wrestle somebody that well. And kind of have fun doing it, and go out there and kind of tear it down, do some fun stuff. So yeah, it was a very good experience being able to feud with Aaron. Obviously I wanted the world title. I had the world title.
Briefly.
And I took an L on that one, Tony. Anyway, beyond that, I don't like to talk about my losses very much, but yeah, I lost. I lost against Aaron.
I'm not gonna like the next feud then either. So
okay.
You did beat Aaron. Well, you had that world title before you lost it to Aaron, obviously. But after that, we would see actually the Xstatic talk show on VTW Vindication. You would have Navon McDonald as your guest. And things from Best in the Yard 2 kind of came up there.
Yeah, obviously, just to go ahead and add on that, I don't think he had any right to come out there and do what he did. I needed to express my thoughts on that. I was very heated about it. The fact that, once again, I'll bring up the fact that it was a career versus career match, and somebody didn't own up to what they were supposed to do. But, I don't think he had a right to do that. And obviously I came out, my goal was to express my feelings, and it turned into a lot more than it needed to be. But the match we had, obviously, I think Navon is one of the most underrated wrestlers by the fans. He's a fantastic guy. He's a fantastic wrestler, and I really appreciate everything he does for everyone. He's a great person. He's a fantastic wrestler. That's probably in my top two matches. But if it's not one, it's definitely number two. because of just I love that match. Just something about it. I can watch it and be happy with it. You know, it's one of the only matches I can do that with. So very proud of that match. Very proud of both of us for going out there and doing that.
As you should be.
I like Devon McDonald. I hate Novin. Hate him to death. Hate Novin. There's nothing scarier than being in the ring and just seeing those little beady white eyes just come out of nowhere, as being like, "What's that, Tabitha?" You know, it's a whole different world. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the match he had with Novin was very physical for one thing, including that Last Rites tombstone you took on the steps at the end of the match.
Yeah,
that had to hurt.
Yeah, it did hurt. You know, yeah, it hurt very bad. But yeah, you know, great match still. One of my favorites, definitely.
And it kind of took you out of action for a little while with that Last Rites tombstone, because we wouldn't see you on Vindication or BTW programming there for a little bit. Mm-hmm. The next time we actually did see you was after Tyler had gotten finished with his feud with Devon or Novin at the time, and was looking for help pretty much, and he got it in the form of you, an old friend.
Yeah, on that, you know, my main thing is on that break I took after the match with Novin, I thought a lot about the past. And me and Tyler had never really settled the fact that he did steal the world championship from me. That belt would still be on my shoulder to this day if he wouldn't have done that. So I felt it was best that, like, he didn't remember, which obviously I don't know if he remembers now. He's kind of weird now and kind of a bitch, but yeah, like he, you know, he, I don't know. It was just, it was a time of big aggression, and we came to a conclusion. I'm not going to say it on here. If you want the full story on why we are the Bad Sons, you can go watch the BYW fix. And yeah, I think Tony knows why. I'm not going to say it on here. But yeah, yeah, Tyler. You know, I do have to give him a little bit of props. He is a great storyteller, and he's you know, he's one of my closest friends. So right. He's always a really great guy to be around and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
From the formation of the Bad Sons, we kind of see the formation of the Mafia as well. Brief formation, but still formation of it. You guys would be in a short feud with Aaron Jones and Chase Bridges.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you guys? For you in particular?
Well, obviously, I had one match with the certain. I don't even know if it was Chase or not, because it was Falcon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those guys are weird. They look a lot alike, don't they? I don't know. I don't know though. I don't know. You know, but Chase is obviously a great wrestler, and he's very good at what he does, and very proud of him. Obviously, I've talked about Aaron a bunch. You know, being with Aaron's always fun, and that's kind of what we wanted to kind of start progressing the tag team revolution. We're trying to start meet myself and Tyler in VTW. Yeah. And so we wanted that to kind of kick it off, and who better to kick it off with than the Mafia, in all honesty. So, you know, it was a great small series of matches, but, you know, that's how I obtained this bad boy. So can't really complain, you know. Like, it looks pretty, doesn't it?
Looks very nice.
Nice and shiny. Yeah, but yes, I know it does. It's very nice. But yeah, you know, basic thoughts on that. Just you know, we wanted to start our tag team revolution off right. What better way to do it than a TLC match? So
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the first time we've actually really seen a TLC match in VTW, was it not?
Yes, technically yes. That's the first real TLC match we had ever had. You know, there was a couple ones back in the day, but they weren't. Back in the day, VTW wasn't VTW. I'll just put it that way. we were just doing it. So, yeah, this was the first, what I would consider the first real TLC match that we've ever had.
Right. Now, if anyone wants to know how Aaron Jones felt about the whole rivalry and situation of him and Chase not being a team very long, just go back and watch my podcast with Aaron Jones on, because he definitely put it out there.
Yeah, don't exactly agree with his views on that, but you know, he's just there's a mafia revolution coming. Anyway, but beyond that, you know, sorry, I didn't mean to take the words out of your mouth, you know.
But I do want to get from you, at the end of that TLC match, we did kind of see you and Tyler help Chase Bridges up and kind of give him props there. What was your take on that?
Well, Chase, in all honesty, you know, that was something that I've never really clarified on, but Chase hadn't earned my respect at all as a competitor at that point. Not saying he was doing anything wrong. It's just, you know, a certain respect in the locker room that has to be earned, and Chase had definitely earned that, because he is just a fantastic performer, and I was very proud of him, and I'm still very proud of him. He's doing a great job. I give him props on being the YouTube champion. You know, that's a prestigious belt, and he's doing a great job. So yeah, that was kind of the whole thought behind that. Nobody told me to do that. I did it all on my own, because I wanted people to know that he is the guy, and he is. Right. I'm very proud of him.
Right. It may have been recorded beforehand, but we have seen the Bad Sons in a couple different crossover events as well. I want to touch on a little out of order of what they were aired, but let's go with Crossover Crisis there for a moment.
Okay. Oh, no, you had. Sorry.
I was just going to mention, leading into it, we've seen that you guys were going to be facing Hazard and a partner of his choice. What was your...
Yeah. You know, UWE is a weird place, man.
Yeah.
It's a weird place, you know, because that was, you know, they were kind of like the company that we were most known for kind of being around and, you know, allying with in a way. Not really allying, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And so stepping foot in there, it was just like, I've been looking at this place on YouTube for like 4 years now, like,
right.
Really weird, like, wow, you know, and meeting different people. Seeing REF for the first time was kind of weird. Yeah. He looks the exact same way from on the internet. Usually people don't, but yeah, he does. So it's kind of, yeah. But you know, obviously, you know, I love. It was a fun trip. It was nothing bad to say. No negatives. You know, besides the fact that Lips was in a sour mood that day and decided to do some things, but other than that, you know, it was a great trip and a great match. The only bad thing that's happened to me during wrestling up there was when I did the spiral tap off the little shed that they have there. Amazing. Yes. Oh my God. That's probably one of my favorite ones I've ever done. But I did it, and Lips moved, and I just landed directly on Hazard. And I talked to Hazard after the match. I was like, "Are you okay?" And he tried to lick my feet, and I was like, "I guess that means you're good."
Right.
So yeah. That's how that situation went.
Gotcha. The other crossover event, obviously, that you were a part of was BEW's King of the Yard tournament. We saw you and Jordan face each other in a rematch from Best in the Yard 2 in the opening round.
Mm-hmm.
What was your opinions on? Yeah, what was your opinions on that match?
You know, there was a point where I had to get trained, and you know, the hardest part about it was I had to you know, getting used to being in a ring and doing different things, and I was just now at the point to where not at any type of pinnacle, but I was just now at the point to where I kind of slightly knew what I was doing.
Right.
And you know, Jordan is he's very smart in the way that he wrestles, and the fact that he's learned to kind of, you know, like if somebody tells him what to do, he can just kind of do it out in the ring. And I not to say I wasn't ready. I think I was ready. It was just the fact of I didn't know what to expect, and we went out there and I double stomped the living piss out of Jordan. And I love doing that move. That move is great. Anybody that stepped in the ring with me and taken it, they know. You're welcome. Yeah, I think the match was good, and I think I think that's about all that needs to be said. It was a fun time up there. Great welcoming.
And we'd also see you in Tyler's corner, obviously, when he went against Yankee right afterwards.
Yeah, I got power bombed. Well, Tyler got power bombed onto me, so
yeah.
Thanks, Yankee. But yeah, so that's kind of that's kind of how that went.
Yep.
It was a very it's always weird going to these different places, and like you show up there and you're like, wow, I've been watching this on the internet forever, and it's like now I'm here and I'm physically inside the ring. It's like, whoa, this all looks weird. This is really weird. Yeah, but so that's kind of I mean, that was kind of my whole thought whenever I got there, and it was fun. We all had a good time. There's a live crowd there. I don't know if many people have actually seen it on my channel. There's a video of some highlights from the New York trip that we went and took. From King of the Yard, I was giving out autographs to a bunch of little younger kids and stuff, and it was just fun. We had a good time.
Right. And as you mentioned, we did see that power bomb from Tyler to you on the floor. It was a bad time for you guys, pretty much competing wise in the tournament. But what was your opinions on how you guys did attack Jordan after your match, though?
Well, I think Jordan deserved it. Speaking of the fact that I'll bring this up once again, the match was career versus career.
Yes.
So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
And from that, pretty much hindered Jordan going forward in the tournament. We've seen the entire tournament, which obviously took forever to get uploaded and was after Best in the Yard 3. But
yeah.
What was your opinion on Cameron Jackson winning the overall tournament?
Obviously, I have wrestled Cam one-on-one, or well, not one-on-one, but in a triple threat match. I think he's worked really hard traveling to all these places and doing stuff like that. I think he did deserve the win. He's a great competitor. He's a clean wrestler. I would hope to step in the ring with Cam, in the future sometime. But obviously, it just depends on if he wants the standards or not. If he doesn't, then I mean, that's on him.
Right.
Yeah, because he's not me. So
there's a good possibility of it happening sometime in the future. Now that Cam is a member of the VTW roster too, so
it's a possibility. Maybe I don't know. I mean, he's kind of doing his own thing right now, so I don't really like to mess with him. So if he wants the silver standard, I mean, I'll give him the silver standard, and I will beat Cameron Jackson. Anyway, but moving on from that,
So I want to get your opinion, since we do know that VTW was on a trampoline at first. You guys have transitioned to the ring. When you went to UWE, obviously you guys transitioned back to the trampoline.
Yeah. Are you wanting to know like the differences between the two?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, basically, when we were on a trampoline, we've been doing it for so long, we had it figured out. We're like, yeah, well, I know what I can do on here. I know I can take a C4 off the top rope and land on my neck while doing it and be okay.
Right.
Then we get into the ring and it's like one crucial mistake and I could literally die. So, we had to, obviously, a lot of us had to go undergo training by one, Dustin Reagan.
little fun.
You know, it's a weird thing. We got to UWE and I got on the trampoline and I was like, oh wow, okay, because I hadn't been on a trampoline since I started training.
Right.
You know, so I get on there and I'm just like kind of moonwalking around, just like, okay, this is kind of strange. Don't know how I feel about this. You know, but we did the best that we could with it, and you know, no disrespect to any trampoline wrestlers. That's where I started. You know, so
Yep.
I mean,
and
you know,
they, of course, do have a little bit different of a trampoline than what you guys were used to using in VTW as well, being the rectangles.
it's stiffer, man. Their trampoline. I don't know why. I guess it's just because it's square. It's stiffer than the circular ones. I don't know why. I mean, that probably doesn't make a difference to anybody, and nobody cares to know that. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's like there's like a gymnastic trampoline, so it's a little different than like one you can buy at Walmart or something.
Gotcha. So then, obviously, when you went back to VTW and when you went to BEW, it was, I would imagine, a little bit more easier of a transition to go back into the ring.
Yeah. You know, definitely. You know.
And more issues with the computer there. See how long it takes them to get back there. We'll get back into that. We got a couple more items to touch on from his time as part of the Bad Sons here. If anybody else is still watching, it shows 0 viewers, but if you guys are, feel free to leave comments, questions. I see the Bad Sons comment from Matt Maverick there. Appreciate you being here and watching, Matt. And Xstatic will be back momentarily, I'm sure. We had this happen a little bit earlier, and it takes him about a minute or two if he'll get back. He's having some internet computer issues here. We'll still talk about Best in the Yard 3 here in just a little bit. An interesting show that was, and I want to just get his opinions on the entire show, as it looks like Xstatic is about to rejoin us here.
Am I back?
You're back.
Cool. Okay. Back to what I was saying.
Yes.
The ring is slightly smaller than the VTW one, so that was something to kind of get used to, being in that small of an environment. But being in a smaller ring is very different. When you get thrown against the ropes, you get hit harder because there's not enough. There's not as much space. You know, and obviously the space between the ropes is different. There's a lot of different things that we had to kind of get used to. But you know, we tried to adapt as quick as we could, and you know, progress with them. Obviously, you know, I mean, we come from a 16 by 16 going into a 12 by 12. It is kind of weird, but you know, it wasn't that big of a change. But yeah, I mean, you know, you do get hit slightly hard because you're going so fast because there's not a lot of space, so you bounce off the ropes. I mean, you know, it's just a, you know, it's just the laws of inertia. So yeah.
Yeah. The ropes, I would imagine, were probably tighter there in BEW than at the time they were in VTW.
Yeah, yeah, we've had trouble with that. There was a certain individual who I don't know if you've been told about this, but we had cable that went under the ring, and he threw it away.
Yeah, I have that.
I'm not going to reveal much about who that is because we all know who it is. But yeah, he threw it away. So yeah, we're capitalizing on that, and we have it fixed. The ropes will be tight in VTW from now on.
Good. No, I think they've looked like they're a little bit tighter in more recent videos than what we had seen beforehand. So
yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into that, and the type of surface you're on. We didn't know that at first. The type of like how flat the land is kind of depends on that. So yeah, now that we've kind of got that figured out, it's a little easier to make sure those things are tight. So yeah, so that's the whole deal with that. But we got it. Hey, ropes won't tighten. Please send help was a fun show. So yeah, I mean, you know, not much to complain about when it comes to the VTW ring anymore.
That's good. I know one time that we did see the ropes were pretty loose. Dustin had actually went for his Reagan bomb, and the ropes kind of pretty much gave out on him at the time. So
yeah, that did happen. I felt bad for him. I was like, dang,
right.
watching in the back and stuff. Yeah, it was very. Yeah, but yeah, sadly, that's what happens when people throw away certain things they're not supposed to. But yeah, I got it all figured out.
All right. From the time that you and Tyler won the tag team titles, we've seen you in a couple brief little feuds in VTW. Not too many. There hasn't been a whole lot since Mania, but we went into Best in the Yard 3. And at Best in the Yard 3, you actually faced a couple more guys from KBW.
Yeah, that was kind of weird too. I've been watching AK-47 for a long time, obviously. Before KBW really got big, I was watching them. So getting to meet the Bama Kid, Lo Mejor Asesino, and AK-47. AK-47 is a character. He's kind of a douche, but he's quite the character. They really have good chemistry as a team. It's kind of weird. Yeah, but I think that was the start for the Bad Sons, and I think there's going to be a lot more great stuff coming up for us that you guys are going to have to be tuned into. But yeah, working with guys from KBW was really, really cool. They're really nice guys. So yeah.
You guys had a little bit of fun at the beginning of Best in the Yard with your little summer extravaganza before the match began.
Oh yeah, what better way to kick off Best in the Yard than some floats, some booze, some babes, some handicapped women?
Right.
What better way?
I can think of a few, but
yeah, and then,
no.
Yeah. And any future opponents better watch out because we will throw fidget spinners at you. So yeah. I mean, Best in the Yard 3 was a great experience. Fun show, always. We saw the retirement of Big Time Mike, which was,
unfortunately, yes.
Oh my gosh, that was a very emotional moment after the match.
Right.
Mike is like a big brother to me, kind of. So it was very sad to see him move on. But he has a lot of dreams that he does need to fulfill, and his name is etched in backyard wrestling. I feel so. Much respect to Big Time Mike, and it was sad to see him go. But
hey, you heard it from himself. You never say never. He might show up sometime again in the future if the timing's right. So
he might. If he does, I'll be very happy. I'll be very surprised, but I'll be very happy. Yes.
Right. But I want to get your take on Best in the Yard 3 as a show overall, and then I want to ask you about a couple of different matches.
Okay. Overall, I think the show was put together very nicely. I think it was a lot more professional. Do I wish we had a little bit more production and things like that? Yes. And maybe next year we will have a lot more to see than just, obviously the venue was definitely the biggest thing.
Right.
Being in somewhere like that and with the acoustics and everything, the building, it was just perfect. Like the wrestling overall, I think was really, really good in that show. I was very, very pleased with how the show flowed. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the overall on Best in the Yard. Good, great memories. Good experiences. Just having a good time, having different people there to watch. It was really, really cool. So yeah, very fun.
And I've heard a few different stories from a couple guys, including Mike, from that weekend. But I'll ask you about those here in a few minutes. I want to get into the matches, though, a couple of matches anyway. Do you think there's any match or matches in particular that are underrated that don't get talked about enough from Best in the Yard 3?
Well, yeah, definitely. The thing was that really irritated me personally, and this isn't either of these guys' faults, but Cameron and Cage, who put on a great match. Don't get me wrong, that match was amazing. I love that match. It was just, I don't think people and this seems to happen on certain. It's not Cage's fault, but there's certain people out there that don't give other wrestlers a chance to put on a spectacle because Cage is on the show. And I think, you know, I do think that they were very disrespectful to our main event, you know, that we had. And you know, that's all I'll touch on that. I don't want to, you know, say anything that might trigger somebody. But yeah, you know, I mean, that was I do think some of the fans were very disrespectful on the fact that you know, when Zach and Yankee went out there and put on a hell of a performance. So, you know, that was my thoughts on that. I think that match is very underrated. I really enjoyed it. The triple threat match from Best in the Yard. I wouldn't know if I'd call that underrated, but I thought it was very, very good.
Yes, it was.
You know, I really enjoyed watching Jackson Hendricks, who had never been in a ring before. Once again, wow, kid blew my mind. You know, the Battle Royal.
Right.
Well, it had some great moments in there. I love that. You know, I loved the triple threat tables. You know, with Jason Walker, Aaron Jones, TJ.
And I will say, I got to put it out there. He wouldn't like to hear it, but Arnold is the one that ended the streak of Jason Walker.
I'd say all of them kind of did.
In a way, yes.
It's kind of a weird. I don't know, but yeah, I do think the streak is over. Sorry, Jason. But yeah, obviously, I think my favorite match from Best in the Yard this year was probably Novin and Drew. Both those guys, I think Drew gets the recognition he deserves, but I don't think Novin does. I hate Novin. He's mean. He's scary, man. I don't like Novin, but the thing is, he really goes out there and puts his body on the line for this. So I have respect for Novin. I don't like him. I have respect for him. But yeah, I mean, I think that match is very underrated and doesn't get talked about enough, honestly.
And talk about that match, you do have to mention how it was a match that was put together last minute, pretty much. As we all know, Nevada McDonald technically was supposed to face Avery Hoke during Best in the Yard, and
yeah,
what the match got changed into was Novin and
you know, I'll just say this is a nice old saying I say quite frequently. Shit happens. Anyway, so yeah, you know, I know Aaron Jones said this, but it's a very touchy subject. It kind of is. You know, I don't mind talking about it, but it's just, you know, it's just one of those things of people. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, that's all I gotta really say about that.
Yeah, I'll say this much: the build up towards the Novin Drew Hood match, with them not knowing they were going to have the match in the first place, was very well put together. Those vignettes that you've seen from both guys put up on their YouTube pages was just amazing. Other than the two main events, I guess you could say, Cam and Cage and Zach and Yankee, I would say that match was the best put together promo wise beforehand, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, no, definitely. I think you are right. I think both those matches. See, that's the thing that makes me mad about a lot of these KBW fans not trying to, you know, I mean the KBW fans that are all for KBW. They don't watch any other backyard wrestling federation. They don't give anything any type of respect. And, you know, that's the thing. Like, yeah, KBW is good. Okay. But, I mean, you know, you're not going to give VTW any respect, UWE, VEW, VWE, WTW, all the companies involved. Like, you're not going to give any of them any type of respect just because Cage is on the show.
Right.
Like, you know, and that makes Cage look like a bad person. He's not, but that's, you know, that's the thing about it. Like, if you're a true wrestling fan and you watch wrestling, then you respect all wrestling. I mean, you know, and you should. I would not just watch a wrestling show just to see Jeff Hardy because Jeff Hardy was on it, or Steve Corino. Like, I wouldn't. You know, I'd watch the full show because I like wrestling, and that's what separates a real wrestling fan from just, you know, somebody who just watches wrestling for that one person, which is kind of weird because makes you look obsessed with that person. Yeah. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the whole thing, the little scenario there. Don't know how I got on that subject from talking about Drew and Novin. I tend to do that a lot.
That happens. It's all good. All right. But yeah, I would say overall it was a very good show. There were some things I wasn't the biggest fan of, which I've touched on before. And I'm not going to mention the match again that I mentioned. It was hilarious, some spots in it, but we'll leave it at that. Any stories? Well, I want you to go over that big time Mike Rick Rios match here real quick. What was it like to be sitting there and watching that match live?
It was really, I didn't want to see anything end, and watching, everything that went down, I just knew that like something was obviously going to happen, and it was really nerve-wracking watching the match. Watching any big time match is kind of nerve-wracking. But yeah, it was very after the match, it was probably the most emotional thing I've ever seen. I mean, the FTC was crying, I was crying, like everybody was just, nobody wants to see big time go, because he is literally like the big brother of everyone. And seeing him say, it's over, and watching him and Rick cry, it was just, oh Lord, it was just the biggest emotional moment, one of the biggest emotional moments I've ever been involved in my wrestling career. So very very sensitive type feeling with that match.
I would say to me it was kind of Undertaker-esque, if you want to compare it from WrestleMania this last year, is what it looked like.
Yeah, it was. I would agree with that. It's definitely very Undertaker-esque. You could probably compare those two. The big time take
you can put it that way, but at least we had some hilarious moments from Big Time Mike throughout Best in the Yard as well. So
of course.
Of course.
Mike likes to do this thing in a lot of his matches where if he's handcuffed or something, he'll start crawling on his shoulders like this.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every single time, without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, it was a very emotional show, and there was a lot of things that happened on that show that were just mind blowing. So yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So, any stories that you have to share from that weekend?
Well, I can kind of tell you how the day went, because a lot of people probably won't believe it. But well, we all slept on the floor. We woke up at like 5 a.m, and they had to go. Mike actually went and got the U-Haul. We had to U-Haul the ring to the venue, and we had to set up the ring. So we're all out there. Everybody's awake. Gage is trying to moonsault Bibles, and we're all just like, oh, I don't want to do this. So we went and kind of grabbed breakfast, some of us, and then we get to the venue. We got to unload everything. We got to put everything up. Then we got to set the stage up. Then we got to get going. We're like, okay, we're on tight schedule. We got to go. Boom, right now. We start. Boom, we start going, one after the other. And so then when we finally get it done, we all just clap. We're all just happy that we got everything done, and we all just hug. And it's a very big thing with Best in the Yard. It's very special to a lot of us, because it's all that we it's something that all of us kind of have brung together, and it's actually becoming a thing now. And so we're very proud of Best in the Yard, and so it's always a good experience every single year.
Right. Now, I got to get your opinion or your thoughts on the story that I've heard from a few different people that did happen that weekend. The whole Devon McDonald and D-Lock situation that happened.
I actually wasn't there for that, but I have seen all of the videos, and all that I've heard that happened and saw is that Navon and D-Lock just started brawling, and it turned into a giant brawl. Well, see, that's what happened. If you put two wrestlers in a room with a bunch more wrestlers around them, they're all going to wrestle. That's what happens. Okay, because that's our nature. That's what we know to do when somebody gets hit or something. So, you know, eventually people are getting thrown through tables, getting hit with belts. I mean, it's just like, if I was there, I probably would have done something, but you know, because that's just my you know, my first initial thought. So that's what I've heard from that story. Wasn't actually there.
What Mike was saying, the end of it came with Mike actually pinning Devon.
Yes.
Which is hilarious. Devon's told me about that on Twitter. He's like, yeah, just out of nowhere, Mike had nothing to do with it, and he comes over and pins my ass.
Yeah. For some reason, Devon is always the one to take the L, man. He's always the one to take the L in any type of situation. I don't understand it.
And I heard the story that I don't remember who he said it was, but somebody was going to put him through a table, and I believe he said Aaron saved him from going through the table. But yet Devon still ended up going through another table anyways. So.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, there's a video, and there's a table set up, and obviously they avoid it, and then all of a sudden the next video is Devon getting choke slammed through a table, and it was just like, what? So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a yeah, I mean, it was just a fun weekend. We have, you know, we like to cut back and have a fun time every once in a while.
Yeah, from stories I've heard and things you see, it just looks like that Best in the Yard is a blast for everybody that's involved.
Yeah, and man, like, the thing that people don't understand, like, you know, if any real fan wants to come watch Best in the Yard, we're fine with anybody coming. It's just, you know, obviously getting on the show and wrestling is hard because we're on a set schedule. I mean, the show's already going to be 4 hours long, so if that's 4 hours long, we don't need to have a 10-hour long show. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
So, you know, obviously there's a few factors in there, but if anybody wants to come and watch, feel free. Go ahead. We love that.
Right.
You know. So yeah.
Hey, maybe next year.
You come on. if you want to come on, sure.
So Matt Maverick has a question for you.
Okay, what's up, Matt?
He wants to know, who's your favorite rookie to watch, and who would you love to work with out of those rookies?
These dudes know that they would ask that. Him or K9 would ask that. I'm very proud of both of them. Those guys honestly deserve a lot of respect. They help set up the ring every time. They're always there, but you know, a day early. They are there they're ready to go. Proud of both those guys. I can't pick a favorite between, because obviously it's going to come down to, well, with rookies we got D'Lo, who is kind of a prick. We got KC Chambers, who I hate with a passion. Then we got K9, and we got Matt Maverick. I mean, so out of those four, I can't pick a favorite because they're all growing so much every time that they wrestle, and they're all good to watch. You should all watch them all. They're great people. They're fun to watch. So, you know, I mean, that's my answer, Matt. Sorry that, you know, you may, you know, want me to be like, yeah, Matt Maverick's so good, but okay, no, okay, I'm gonna make sure all of you know you're doing a good job, not just you. Don't be selfish.
Fair enough point there. But as you mentioned, D'Lo, that was pretty much the next subject I was going to touch into, because the next time after Best in the Yard that we really seen the Bad Sons in a feud was with D'Lo and Mephisto, who were put into a tag team.
Oh God, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've seen some singles matches leading up to the tag team match that you guys had. What was that whole?
I kicked D'Lo's ass. That's what happened, Tony.
That's
I kicked
true.
his ass. I hit that CLB, man. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Xstatic is victorious. That's what happens every time. You know, that's what will happen every time I wrestle D'Lo. Or as he's made up for himself, Mr. Wirecat. He has to name himself after a stream program to get a reaction. Good for him. Yeah.
Before I get back into that, Matt Maverick says I can accept that answer.
There you go. It's all settled and done then, Matt. I hope you're happy.
as you mentioned, you faced D'Lo. You also had a match on Vindication that I don't really care to bring up, but I will, against Mephisto as well. Is that about all you have to say about that one?
Yes, that's all I have to say about it. Oh, God. Yep. Okay.
That was, in my opinion, probably the worst Vindication, and I couldn't tell you how long, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I could definitely agree. You know, that was one of those things where we had the ring set up. It was raining, and we had planned to wrestle, and we couldn't. You know, I had just gotten off work, and it just wasn't meant to be, and we needed to do something. We needed matches. So,
right.
I mean, sorry.
I
Won't
heard
ever do
somebody
that ever again.
Heard somebody was a little upset with me with some comments I made on Twitter from that Vindication. Well, he can just deal with it pretty much. So.
Well, I think the main thing is you know, you're giving us honest feedback. We like that. We listen to what all the fans have to say. We never once go without listening to our fan base. So, you know, that's why, like, I respected what she said, because I knew, you know, that wasn't a great Vindy, but you know, we just have to live and learn, and we gotta crack out more. So that's all I have to say about it.
True. We've got another viewer in who wanted to make a little comment here. Excuse me for being fashionably late. The king has arrived. Now, if you don't know who that is from.
No, I do. If he's fashionably late, yeah, I'm sure I know exactly who it is. Yeah, I'll just let him be him if he wants to. For right now.
Yeah. I'm sure the king, as he puts it, as he is known as, can put in any questions or comments he has in there. Matt Maverick has another question for you, though. Are you that bad of a man?
I'm not just that bad of a man. I'm just that bad of a man. Matt will understand that. You might actually, as well. You might have seen the video. Not going to comment too much on that company, but yeah. Yeah.
And Devon says, "I do love you, Xstatic." All in caps.
Does he?
Yes.
I love Navon too. I hate Novin though. I hate Novin. I would kick the shit out of Novin any day. But I love Navon. So that's what it is.
So it kind of got us off topic a little bit, but after that Vindication, we did see the tag match that you guys had with D'Lo and Chase.
Finally, yes.
Mephisto, sorry. What was your take on that match and what happened after the match? We'll get into in just a moment afterwards.
Well, I don't think Mephisto knows how to wrestle. I think that's the first thing. I think Mephisto, I think somebody literally was at the local Taco Bell and said, "Hey, do you want to wrestle?" And he was just like, "Yeah, Holmes," and then they gave him a mask and gave him some gear, and then he went out there and yeah. So that's my thought on that. So yeah, D'Lo stepping up, good for him. Still hate him. 100%. Needs to be humbled. So yeah, yeah, as far as Mephisto goes, I don't think Mephisto knows how to wrestle. I don't even know why he's on the roster.
Yeah, and from after that match, we obviously seen D'Lo had a new tag team partner come out in, quite an interesting fashion. That would see another Mephisto actually come out and try and help that Mephisto as well.
Yeah, that was that other Mephisto is the real Mephisto. There's two of them now. It's very interesting.
Those Mephistos, yes.
Yes. As far as that little dwarf goes. Anyway, I'm not going to say it.
Okay. Well, you do have to comment on this because I'm going to bring it up. You and Tyler have a match coming up against D'Lo and Mr. Dwarf, as you put it.
Yes, Mr. Dwarf. The thing is, me and Tyler are not the best wrestlers in the world, but we will put an unhumble piece of trash or pieces of trash in their place when we need to. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. I look forward to seeing when that match happens, because we'll just see in future vindications, I'm sure. Navan says, but you still better come correct, even though he does love you.
He needs to come correct. I've seen Navan dressed like a freaking flamingo, man. Dude is into some freaky shit.
Interesting. Matt says, don't forget about Dingo.
It's not Dingo, it's Diggle, okay? And I don't forget about him. It's Diggle.
We mentioned him earlier, so.
Yeah.
Which Navan told Matt to put a sock in it. And K9 says, what's up, my man, Xstatic?
Well, what's up to you?
All right, guys, keep your questions, comments coming through. We'll get into them. I'm leaning towards the end of my questions here, but we've got a few more. So we just seen, I think Xstatic has been frozen here again. He's having some issues with his computer today, so this is the third time it's happened. He'll be back in just a moment. So if you guys haven't, do make sure you go back and watch my last couple episodes, especially the Big Time Mike episode. It was my favorite episode I've done so far. It was the first live episode. The rest of these will be live from here on out. Last night I did do one with Jackson Hendricks as well. And you're unfrozen. All right, we got you back.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why he keeps doing that, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry. Trying to keep it going. My computer doesn't like me, so yeah. Sorry about that. Anyways,
Matt does say my bad, Diggle, not Dingo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did just see the last VTWE scene was Day of Gold Vindication. You guys, I may be wrong here, but if I remember correctly, you didn't appear on that show.
We did not. We were at the beginning of the show, just doing a little bit of thing. We didn't need to be on that show, because what would have happened is we would have had a tag team match and we would have came out victorious. Because we're the bad Sons.
So I do got to give you guys, there'll be a question out of this, but I got to give you guys props in VTW, because this tag team renaissance, I guess you could call it, has been pretty decent so far. I'm hoping that there'll be more tag teams to come, because obviously there's only 3 right now.
Yeah. Well, we are working on that as we speak. There's a lot of different tag teams. A lot of people I've never seen before in our community. So we're trying our best to make sure that we can get this push, this tag team thing going strong, and really have a nice established tag team division in VTW. So I will guarantee you there will be more of that coming in the future.
Which I definitely look forward to. I was having a conversation with Jackson Hendricks last night about it. The tag team divisions is something you don't see in backyard wrestling that often, and definitely something that I'm happy to see VTW kind of bring back. There's a couple. But not many.
Yeah, true that. We're always looking. If you're watching and you're in a tag team, you want to wrestle the Bad Sons, come on down. We'll have a match with you.
There's a little put out on that, but yes, Navan, I know you've seen all of my shit, but there's other people in the chat. He says that's because you've been talking shit, Xstatic, and that's why it's going out. That's why you're having issues with your computer, is what he's putting towards. But yeah, that's just Navan.
Yeah, that is just Navan. Anyway, moving on from Navan, because obviously he, this isn't the Tony Talks Wrestling or Tiger Talks Wrestling with Navan McDonald. This is Tiger Talks Wrestling with Xstatic.
Yes.
Keep your mouth closed, Navan. You see these Calvin Kleins? They gonna be where the sun don't shine. That'll shut him up. Anyways.
Anyway,
so moving forward.
I want to get your opinion on a couple different tag teams that I think would be interesting to see you guys face.
All right.
The first one I have to mention is, I would say probably one of, if not the greatest tag team in backyard wrestling in the East Coast wise history. That being, because I may be wrong here, but I do believe I'm not. They have never lost a match as a team. That being one Rick Rios and TJ Sakara, TOP.
You know, I think one day that match could happen. Obviously, both of those guys are in two different stages in their careers. I would love for that match to happen. Honestly, I think I've always been a fan of TOP, and I think maybe one day the match could happen. I don't think they're the best tag team on the East Coast, though. That's for damn sure. So yeah, but that is my opinion on that match happening with the Bad Sons. I think it'd be something fun. I think it'd be something fun to see, but they're definitely not the best tag team on the East Coast.
That's debatable, but yes.
Well, and they haven't won these. They haven't even won a tag team championship, Tony. You can't say that.
But it's definitely something that would be a dream match. Let's put it out that way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I want to bring up a company that we haven't really talked about yet. They're another company that has a lot of tag teams in their company. That'd be DBW.
Yes. Yes, DBW.
Any tag teams from that company that you could envision yourself and Tyler facing at some point that you would?
There is one in particular that I have seen and that I've watched that I think me and Tyler could work well with. That would be the Outcasts. They are they're becoming a force. I would like to see maybe one day see them in the other corner away from us. But as soon as they get in that corner, they're not just a rookie team looking at the Bad Sons. They are our opponents, and I will treat you just like I treat everybody else in the ring, and I will beat the snot out of you. Myself and Tyler, obviously, but yeah. So Outcast is probably the main one I would definitely be up for having a match with. Obviously, but yeah, that's my honest opinion on that. Obviously, I mean, unless Judgment and Paradox want a freaking match, I think me and Tyler could lay both of them out. Believe it or not, I really do. Not to be cocky, but they're both very good wrestlers, but they're not the Bad Sons, Tony. That's the difference.
So how about any combination? Well, I'll pick one in particular, but a combination of the Murder Club, seeing how from Best in the Yard we've seen the Murder Club.
Yeah, obviously, it would in my opinion, there's a lot of combinations you could make. There's a lot of really talented individuals in the Murder Club. Sure. That's the thing about it. I think we could probably take any of them.
Okay.
I think we could be any tag team in the history of wrestling.
It's the way you should think, in my opinion, if you're aiming to be the greatest tag team. So I don't blame you for that one.
We are. I mean, I never got to kind of elaborate on this. So we were going to wrestle the Young Bucks at Best in the Yard 3. Okay, that was really going to happen.
Uh-huh.
Thing that happened was on their way down here, their flight got canceled. And then we heard they got kidnapped. They got kidnapped in Japan because that's where they were when they were coming to fly. They got kidnapped. So the match never got to happen. They're still good friends of ours. Matt and Nick Jackson, thank you so much for being a good supporter. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll get the Bad Sons versus the Young Bucks. That's the match we wanted, but instead we got the Bama Key and AK 74U. But yeah.
Right. All right. So I got a question here from Devon. What I want to know is, why did you blame me for losing the VTW World Championship in your bull rope match with Jones?
Why did I blame you? Navon, there's a lot of things I blame you for. You almost cost me my career at Best in the Yard 2. Sure. Beyond that, Novin likes to play his little mind games during my matches, and he was. I saw you in my brain. As soon as I got thrown off the side of the ring through a table, it happened. And I saw you, and I took care of you. Hate Novin. I hate Novin. He knows I hate Novin. That's why he's doing that. It's not fair.
All right.
Go away, Navon.
He also said after that, from what you were saying to him earlier, whatever, shut the fuck up, bitch.
Oh, fuck him. Okay, yeah. You know, I hope the dark side just comes and beats the living shit out of Novin and Navon. Both of them, actually, they both deserve it.
Yeah,
so
that might be a problem now. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Looks like Darkseid may have retired, but
let's hope not. I like the dark side a little bit.
Speaking of the dark side, he did actually say he would love to have a match with you when I did the podcast with him. So,
you know, I kind of wanted it to happen myself, Tony. You know, but if the dark side wants to go out, it's his time to hang up the boots. That's his decision. I can't really reinforce that. I would have loved to have wrestled the dark side, but obviously, you know.
So Navon had to put another 2 cents from Best in the Yard too. You ain't gonna end his career, not on my watch. I'm sorry, but I gotta do it to you. Oh, come on.
I need Navon McDonald in the ring, Tony. I need to beat the shit out of Navon because I will. Oh my gosh, Navon, quit commenting on stuff.
All right. So you guys keep getting your comments and questions out there. While they're doing that,
I'd love that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
While they're doing that, I'm going to put you in the hot seat pretty much here for my big question that I ask every guest I have on here. Putting you inside in an elimination chamber match. Who are the 5 backyard wrestlers you're going to be facing in that match, and who would be the last person you'd eliminate?
Navon, Darkseid. I'm going to name some other names that you may not know.
Okay.
Well, actually, all right, here, hold on. I'll just keep on going for the names that I know that you know. Definitely Judgment.
Yep.
Got to have my partner, Tyler Aiken, in there because, you know, we are a team and we're going to have to find a way to win somehow. And then I would definitely probably put a guy named Matt DeMorist, who you may not know.
I do not. I've heard that name a little bit, I think.
Yes, he's renowned, but his stuff's hard to find. So those would be my 5. You said 6 though, didn't you?
No, just 5 others.
5. What am I talking about? Okay, yeah, that's my 5.
Who would be the last one you'd eliminate to win the match?
Probably the dark side.
Fair enough. That earns you a chance to main event Best in the Yard, which would be obviously a second time for you if it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who would you face and for what title?
It's a really good question. You know, maybe it's for what title? That's a really hard question. There's a lot of really prestigious belts.
Question about it.
I'll go at a limb. If Hellhound.
Anything we haven't mentioned?
If Hellhound won some type of belt in DBW. Wait. He is the champion. Never mind. For his championship, I would wrestle him in the main event.
It might be a spoiler alert because I didn't know that Hellhound had a title.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
I don't know. They did just record something recently, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. I would face Hellhound for screw it. I'll face him for the X Factor title.
Okay.
Why not?
Because it doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, Interesting pick, anyways. I wouldn't expect anything different from you.
Yeah, definitely. Like to kind of throw some different names out there because everybody's like, saying it's kind of the same group of names. I kind of like to be a little different, go out of the box.
Right. I'll expand on that question with another question here in a moment, but Navon's got one for you. Do you think you'll ever bring back the money for nothing theme?
Oh my gosh. I may one day. Who knows? I miss coming out to that theme. I will say that. I really do. I miss coming out to that theme. That theme's dope. And
As he's frozen up again. Give just a moment. So I thank you, Navon, and everybody else for your comments and questions at this time. Xstatic will be back here in just a moment, I'm sure, again. Which what happens with live shows, but no big deal. Keep them coming. Questions, comments, whatever. I'm hoping to wrap this up here in the next 20 minutes about before Raw starts, obviously, because I know a lot of us will be watching that, and me included. But we got a couple more questions. I've got a couple more questions for him. And if you guys have anything else, feel free to ask. Because we'll try and get him back in here. Just one moment. But yes, Navon, again, I do have to thank you for watching all of my shows, and for anybody else who's watched all of them or any of them, I do appreciate it. Gonna keep coming with them quite a bit this week. I plan on having at least one more show, if not two more shows, possibly.
Tony.
Welcome back.
Hey, sorry.
You're good.
Making me so mad. Sorry, fans, once again for my stupid computer. Now what were we talking about?
We were talking about the theme song "Money for Nothing."
Oh yes. I would definitely use it again. I may in the future. Who knows? You never know.
So KEW's King Dominator pops in and says, "I miss Wicked J. I know that is not in the topic, but rest in peace, Wicked J." We did touch on that topic a little earlier, so.
Agreed. I rest in peace, Wicked J.
Let's agree with that. All right. So if you could, it could be people that you didn't mention yet or you have. Could you tell me 3 dream opponents that you have that you haven't faced yet in Backyard Wrestling?
Wow. There's so many of them, honestly. The dark side's definitely one. I just feel like it'd be weird to see somebody who's the complete opposite of the dark side in the ring with the dark side. So that's my thought on that. Definitely beyond from the dark side, Matt Demorest, obviously, not to be, like that, but I think it'd be interesting. There's a lot of people I would love to face. PJC from BWE. Dirty DeChico. Mike. I could keep going all day. Like, right. There's so many that I haven't really gotten to face one-on-one yet that I would love to do. I would love to wrestle. It's just a lot of those guys don't wrestle anymore, and that's what sucks. But maybe one day,
Yeah, you never know. Things can change day to day,
Yeah, exactly. All
right. So what do we have to look forward to from Xstatic here in the future? Not necessarily just in BTW, but Backyard here.
Well, I think that's for the future to tell. Myself and Tyler are gonna keep putting out the most ridiculous stuff anybody can ever see. That's always something that we like to do. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. The future's the future, as they say. So yeah.
So then I guess I'll change it to any pro aspirations anytime soon. As he's frozen up yet again with one of the last questions. All right, guys. So if you're watching, please make sure you put out those final questions as we're getting closer and closer to that time. So I appreciate it. If you do have questions for him, it helps out make this go a little bit better. Not that I don't have plenty of questions for him myself. We'll get him back in here. I'll get that pro aspirations question out for him. There, you're unfrozen again.
All right. Okay. Cool. So what was your question, Tony?
Any pro aspirations from you anytime soon?
You know, I've had a lot of life events kind of hit me in the face lately. Anybody who knows me personally knows what I'm talking about. I've had thoughts about trying it again. Actually, I did try to go into the professional scene at one point. It's just the company I went to was kind of they didn't know what they were doing. I'll just put it that way. And so they kind of bullied guys like myself, Tyler, and Aaron. We were the three that went.
Okay.
Just to give it a shot, you know. And that was my first time really doing a training, and the way that they did it, just they abused us. Then I went to High Spots and kind of, you know, just watched a session, and it was very, very gentle. And at that point in my life, I was at a point to where I didn't know if that's what I really wanted to do. Sorry for my dogs barking as loud as they possibly can in the background, but yeah, you know, maybe not. I've had thoughts about it lately, you know, so maybe one day you will see me in a professional scene. I don't know. I don't know yet.
Gotcha. So is there anybody in VTW that you haven't gotten in the ring yet with, perhaps, that you would, one person in particular possibly that you'd like to be in the ring with?
Definitely D-Lock. You know, D-Lock's somebody that I definitely need a one-on-one match with. Same with actually a real one-on-one match with Cameron Jackson, as I mentioned earlier. K9, Matt Maverick, any of them that are
They have a chance to get in there with you.
I'm just gonna move my head, Tony.
Familiar people. Welcome to the show, Aaron and Cam.
They just decided to invade my little studio here.
Hey, you remember when I was on the podcast and you and Cam came and showed up?
Yes.
They know.
People.
You guys are always welcome to the show.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah.
We wanted to support you.
Yeah, we're here to listen to your
So we're just
podcast.
gonna sit down and listen.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Hey, act like we're not even here, guys. Okay? Act like we're not even here.
I'm just gonna lay down in this bed.
We got
Okay.
well, Matt Maverick.
Take your shoes off first?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what was the question, Tony?
Yeah, I didn't get into a question quite yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
But Matt Maverick, of course, has to give the hashtag 16 for our guest there. To which Nevon McDonald also says, "Them motherfuckers."
Listen, he's the guy. It's about him. I'm just the support cast right now.
The guy. Okay.
So,
I'm
but
not even
Nevon
here.
did have a question for you,
I'll
Nick.
be back here and I won't even do anything.
So the
Yes.
question for you is from Nevon McDonald says, top 3 favorite matches you've seen in pro wrestling and top 3 of your favorite matches that you've been in.
Oh God. There's a lot. Wow, that's a very difficult question.
Shut up.
Gosh. I don't even know. I might be able to name the backyard ones, but there's so many. Like compared to God, I've never thought about this. The favorite matches I've seen, definitely I would say a lot of them came at the Best in the Yards. Dirty DeChico and Big Time Mike from Best in the Yard 2 is probably my number 3. My number 2 would probably be Cameron and Cage. My number 1, God, I don't know. I I don't want to say that because he's been very sour to me on this podcast so far. Yeah.
I know what match he is referring to then.
No, probably. I wouldn't. I don't know. I can't even put any in order because like I have so much respect for wrestling in general. I don't know, but Navon and Drew is somewhere up there, and yeah. I mean, I don't really. There's so many that I haven't even like. I don't know. Okay, yeah. As far as pro wrestling, the best matches I've seen, Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin on Raw. That's probably going to be number 3. There's a lot of. I've just seen so many matches. Right. It's really difficult for me to choose the top 2 if I had to, but I know that match is definitely up there. Always loved watching the Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe feud in TNA. You know, I mean, like I don't know. Rating matches is hard. It's hard for me because I have so much criticism on my own stuff, everybody else's stuff, and pro wrestling stuff. So it's just hard for me to choose. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
His backyard question was that you were involved in, but that's all right. We can go with the ones you went with.
Okay.
But no, the question I had asked when those guys had arrived was your 3 guys that you want to face that you haven't faced yet in BTW. You had ended with some of the newer guys you were mentioning.
Oh well, yeah. Obviously, you know, in VTW, that I haven't really gotten to have a serious match with. That one back there, Cameron. Then we got. What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Me and Cam.
Look, they're all in my space here.
This is my guy right here. I love this guy.
Aw, so sweet. D-Lock, as I had mentioned.
Yes.
K9 and Matt, both 2 guys I've really wanted to wrestle, and yeah, I don't want to wrestle KC Chambers, so yeah.
I've heard that a little bit as a consensus from most of the guys I've talked to from VTW. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So out of that one, I'll ask you this: who's somebody that you've worked with before in VTW that you would like to work with again? Because maybe you didn't think that it went long enough.
Well, D-Lock, you know, me and him had that one match on a Vindication, and it was so cold, like,
right,
just absolutely ridiculously cold, and the match wasn't as good as either of us wanted it to be. So, I would definitely probably have another one-on-one with him, and or Jamal Payne. You know, I mean, though the one me and Jamal Payne had was pretty good in my opinion. So I think. I'd like to do it again. I think the match was too long. You know, I think we could redo it. But yeah, I mean, you know, just 2 of them to throw in there.
So since you mentioned Jamal Payne, I got to get your take on his whole persona change, I guess you could say, over the last couple months.
Well, he's a dick.
Plain and simple.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He kind of has the right to do that, but he kind of doesn't in the way he's doing it. He's being a douche, so I don't think it's necessarily right, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Jamal Payne.
All right. So guys, get your questions out there still. We've got a little bit more time here. Matt Maverick did ask this: SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown or Raw?
Yes.
Oh, I don't even watch enough of like Raw, like WWE stuff. I watch all the pay-per-views. Gosh, I don't know. SmackDown's got the best talent, and I think they have the better, like, storyline wise. They have the best stuff going right now. I think Raw's kind of falling behind. Raw was kind of on top for a minute, and then it just kind of, from what I've seen, in my honest opinion. So, you know, comparing it's like comparing Hell in a Cell to what's it called? No Mercy. You know, both were pretty good shows, and the Divas match stole the show on No Mercy. May I add? I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on that. I think SmackDown is the way to go.
So as I wait to see if any more questions pop up here in the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you something that I talked with Jackson Hendricks about last night. What do you think of like stipulation matches in backyard wrestling?
I definitely think it's good. There's a lot of stipulations that nobody has ever done.
Agreed.
You know, So it's really yeah, I think it's a good thing when two guys don't like each other that much, and it has to resort to something to an extreme culture. Okay, well, you know what, Aaron, we've already done that match. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about it. But yeah, like
cheap ass aqua velvet on your
I'm about to hit you with my custom made action figure.
Oh, that's wait, what is that?
Yo, just to do a cheap plug.
That's
With
sick.
the Xstatic action figure. It was was one of the Highlanders with Rob Van Dam's head. But yeah, I think stipulation matches are a great thing in backyard wrestling. I think there's certain things we can do as backyard wrestlers that pro wrestlers can't even do, and that gives it a whole nother edge to a stipulation. So I think they're really good things to experiment with.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And my take on it was I don't think we see enough of them, honestly, in backyard wrestling.
Agreed.
It's something I'd like to see more of. Case in point I gave was we occasionally see like a 2 out of 3 falls match, but not. Jackson said like a 3 stages of hell match is something we could see more of. Or
even I have yet to see a a steel cage match. I want to see it. I want to be in a steel cage match, man. Like,
I've heard they're out there in backyard community, but that's something you
like. I mean, I've seen people attempt to do one, but to actually do a steel cage match the proper way it's meant to be done is a different thing.
Yes, that's something.
One of my favorite matches. Yeah,
that right? And another match I mentioned was you don't see it very often in backyard. You don't see it obviously on WWE programming anymore because it's PG now, but it's a first blood match.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's something we can all, everybody can kind of experiment with, if the person's willing to bleed. So, that's always the calling factor in that. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's a match type that I grew up playing on video games and stuff, so it was a good thing. A good fun match to watch and kind of experiment with.
We had a little brief discussion of Iron Man matches in backyard wrestling as well. Jackson's take on it was the 15-minute Iron Man match, for instance, that we had seen at Best in the Yard 3 is something he's not that big of a fan of. I honestly don't care for just 15 minutes given to him either. But what's your opinion on Iron Man in the backyard?
They're hard to pull off. Right. I know people have said things about that match, but I give props to both of them because there's a lot of times where I think I actually have been involved in an Iron Man match, and it was very hard to pull off. You have to have a timekeeper. A timekeeper has to make sure he's doing everything correctly, and to tell when you feel like you're on a time limit, everything feels rushed, and it's hard to kind of do that. So I give props to Jamal Payne and Evan Blake for that match, and I don't think they did anything wrong.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. It's just my point towards it was if you do an Iron Man match, it should be a 60-minute Iron Man match instead of just something.
Yeah, 60 or 30. Yeah, I think that was the only criticism I could put with it.
Yeah. So Navon says, in all seriousness, you're wonderful and gave me one of my favorite matches of my life. Thanks for just being you. Oh, and thanks for telling me to throw cake in Drew's face.
Put your finger in his face.
Don't say that. Yeah, no problem, Navon. Always got you on some cake throwing, my brother. Just don't send that demon ass Novin after me, please.
Right. And of course, Navon can't end it without a hallelujah and amen.
Yes. Chick-fil-A. Yes.
Amen. Yes.
Oh no, I got everybody started.
Man, stick the plunger in my hand.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
but yes. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much for stipulations wise. The only other match I'd kind of like to see more that I think would be good in backyard that you don't see often is a last man standing match. I know we just seen one from you guys recently between Zach and.
Well, we like to kind of, we do kind of like to separate distances between, that's why we like this
Yeah.
was one of the first TLC matches we ever thought about doing, because we had never done it, and
Right.
nobody would have, I don't think any fan would have been like, oh, there's too much of that, or
No.
we like to give people a chance to breathe and
Yeah.
accept that the match is happening, rather than it being like, you know what, because I don't like you, we're doing a last man standing. Like, I mean, obviously Joe does the stipulation stuff, so I think Joe is in favor of kind of giving people a chance to breathe, and then us, doing maybe a certain type of stipulation you don't see. We like to experiment with different things.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have, because obviously you don't want to see the same old all the time either. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely. I think there's a lot of things in wrestling that become the same old, and that's kind of what's happening with the wrestling industry. I hate to touch on it, but like the use of just something dumb, like the use of Canadian destroyers.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be a giant move, like a 1, 2, 3 done move, and the fact that people kick out of that, or package power drivers or stuff like that, it just, I'm not going to go as far as to say it makes me sick, but I don't think it's necessarily right. So I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha. All right. So if anybody else has any questions or comments, I see there's a couple viewers in here still. Just put them out there. We're going to close up here in the next couple minutes, though.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to. One thing that I try to kind of do this in a lot of the podcasts I get on. I didn't do it in the BYW Fix, but
I wasn't over enough for you.
shut the fuck. This dude just keeps talking shit about.
Yep.
Oh, hey,
You're in my
I
shit.
didn't know you were that happy to see me, big guy.
I'm gonna hit you with my feather duster. But I try to give a tad bit of advice, as much as I can give, to younger up and coming wrestlers, because there's a lot that I've learned. I mean, I know I'm not in a professional business, and we can't really call it that, but there's a lot of stuff that's I am today, just from listening and to people and things like that. And the number one thing is, I think you do need to be humble to a certain degree. I never, anytime I go to any other company, I never think of myself to be above or below anybody, and because you learn so much different things from different people. Everybody's different, so you learn things from wherever you go. And that's one of the main things is keeping humble, being a sponge, like I said earlier, and taking everything in and just kind of learning from all kinds of different styles and making yourself versatile. So, if you have to wrestle a scary character, you can do it. If you have to wrestle this guy, you can do it without no questions asked, or any type of style. And I think that's one of the most important things that a lot of wrestlers miss, is they try to do what they see on TV, but a lot of what you see on TV now is just pure technical wrestling, which, like I said, isn't a bad thing, but there's a certain degree where it does get kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of differentiate yourself and be creative in that degree. So that's the only advice I could really give. I'm in no way the best wrestler in the world, and I never will be, but I've learned a lot of lessons in what we do.
Right. And I got to thank Aaron for that, because you guys have started leaving these messages at the end of these. I just hope that some of these younger guys that are watching might get a chance to watch. Do take it to heart, because honestly, you guys give some very damn good advice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I just now that I've been doing this for so long, I kind of just I don't think I have any other right to say it. For me to say it than Evan Starr to say it. It's just the fact of, like, I think it's something that people could take into consideration and be a sponge with. For me, just kind of keep making yourself the best that you can be, and not what everybody else wants you to be.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm digging this right now. You're laying down the ball.
Yeah, but so that's kind of one of my main things that I think a lot of younger backyard wrestlers miss, is the fact of just not exactly copying what people do, but just learning from what people do.
Right. And just like you said, kind of be a sponge from it, and pick up whatever you can from people that have been around. Blah, blah.
Pow! Fuck. I hit my thing. I hit my thing.
So we get ready to close this out. Just want to bring up Best in the Yard for next year. Is there anybody in specific that you might have in mind for that you would like to see get a chance at Best in the Yard that hasn't yet?
I've had a couple individuals in mind. It's hard to say right now. A lot of the people that I want, it's hard to get them. Is I've done one thing about me and Best in the Yard. I like to kind of face people that nobody else thinks about facing or doesn't want to attempt, or however, because you see differentiation on a different level when you watch Best in the Yard, because there's I like to give the show more of a variety of companies and people. So you never know. I hate to sound like I'm accepting applications for Best in the Yard 4. Oh, look at me. But it's hard to tell who I will be facing, or what team I will be facing rather, at Best in the Yard. So it's very hard to predict.
And then for one other crossover event, because there's only one other one that we know of really. Do you think if there is a King of the Yard 2 that you would take part in that?
No.
It just depends. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
No.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey, keep your comments to yourself.
Singing.
Yeah, he's singing. I hear what he's singing back there.
Bad. He's rocking this right now.
I'll take
Xstatic
those
is
guys
the flipping man.
Cameos there.
Yeah.
No, this isn't about us. We're here for Nick. I mean, Xstatic. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it.
Hey, I'm sitting back here in the corner with my mouth shut.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he was.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. I'll give them 1 minute. If anybody's got any more questions or comments, leave them in the comment section here real quick. But otherwise,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Anybody else?
For real, I don't have to say no messages.
Touch on.
All right, Aaron has a question, so I'll have him ask me.
Go for it.
What was your favorite feud
Ever?
ever?
Oh my gosh. How can you even ask me that? There's so many.
Okay, what was your favorite feud in like the last 2 years?
There's certain things I like about every single one of them. I can't just decide that, because I know you want me to say me.
I don't want you to say me in here because I know we could have done better.
Fair enough point.
I don't know. I'd have to say either me and Navon, or probably, honestly, it'd probably me and Tyler. Because the thing about that feud that's really special to me is not a lot of people cared about it, which is fine, obviously, but the fact of the matter is that we went out there and did all that ourselves, and I think we did a good job with it, even if nobody was paying attention. So
Fair enough answer, I think.
yeah.
Somebody back there would be happy about. All right.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what happens in the next episode of Vindication, obviously, that I'm sure will be out sometime this week. And then,
Yeah, hopefully so. That's not up to me. Sadly, if it was up to me, it would be up on a weekly basis, on a Thursday or something like that. Every Thursday we would upload Vindications, but it's not my brain. I'm not Joe Cool, so, or Avery Hoke, more importantly. So yeah, that's all up to them. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe so, hopefully so, because I need something to watch at work. So
right. And then what is the next big event from VTW that we got to look forward to?
The next big event for VTW.
Halloween Hangover.
Yes. Sorry, I got confused. Halloween Hangover is going to be the next one of our biggest shows.
7.
I think that's our second biggest show of the year. So there's a bunch of stuff. Wait, what?
So that's what I thought was the next big show. Just wanted to make sure, though.
Yeah, that's for some odd reason that show's just always been one of our biggest. It's one of our like most original shows that we've been doing since we because we changed a lot of shows around.
Tell them about how we're gonna have the roulette, Vindy. It's a big.
Oh yeah, one thing I should promote on here. We are bringing back. Tony, you might have been around for.
I've seen the roulette before. Yes.
Okay. We're bringing back the spinning wheel of matches, so that's something to look forward to. Who knows what it's going to land on? So that'll be exciting. And then it's going to be our special roulette Vindy. And then obviously we have the colossal Halloween Hangover.
Yeah, definitely look forward to.
So it is. Yeah.
We have a couple
Sorry, go
questions
ahead.
kind of were asked a little bit earlier, but Dr. Luigi posted the question on my end comes in the form of, whom are you looking out for young talent wise heading into the future?
I mean, there's nobody in specific. I would say I'd like taken under my wing or something. That sounds way too But I think a lot of the young talent that that's caught my eye lately. Obviously K9 and Matt Maverick from VTW. I wouldn't even call Hellhound young talent, but he has caught my eye. Outcast, obviously, they may not want to be called younger talent because they're not younger talent, but they are definitely two guys or two or three guys that I've been looking out for. Gas Chamber is another. I mean, wow, he does some crazy stuff. So a lot of those guys have really caught my eye lately. Even Blaze from DBW, he's the GOAT. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the guys that I really look forward to seeing what they have to offer.
And again, the last question that's posted as of right now, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but Elite Backyard Wrestling wants to know, how much longer do you think you can continue to do backyard wrestling?
Oh wow. That's a hard question. In the past, I'd had a lot of thoughts about, maybe hanging up the boots, but this is what I like to do. I've been doing this since I was, 8 or 9 years old. So it's just something I haven't really considered leaving yet. And, I have so much history in the backyard that we're in, and I've there's I don't know. I'm not satisfied enough to leave yet. That's the way I'll put it.
Right. That's a fair enough answer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how we're gonna end it here. Any last words or comments before we close out the show here?
KC Chambers is a bitch. D'Lo is a bitch. If Darkseid ever wants to get his ass kicked, he can step into the ring with me. I don't know. Yeah, anybody that wants to face the Bad Sons can. I need you for this. Come here. I don't want to cut promos. We are the bad. Shit, I froze. Okay, we're good. We are the Bad Sons, baby. We're coming for Ace and D'Lo. Wait.
The ace of VTW, yeah. D'Lo Smith and KC. I'm a god, Chambers.
Yeah, look at me. I got cool little highlights in my hair. Look at me. I'm a dwarf. VTW, I'm here. The Bad Sons are coming.
No, the Bad Sons are here.
There we go.
The Bad. We are very, very good bad boys. You got this.
All right. Well, with that, I will say thank you once again for joining me here tonight, Xstatic. It's been a blast.
No problem, Tony.
I look forward to having a couple others on the show here very soon that are in the background there. One in particular,
Yeah.
Cleveland. But yes, thanks once again. This has been fun. This has been Tiger Talks Wrestling with one half of the tag team champions of ETW and the Bad Sons, the Silver Standard himself, Xstatic. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir.
End it with a curtain call.